Many of you have been asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many of you have been asked this question? Right? Most of us. And I know for me, when I was a little girl, I used to answer the question with, I want to be a teacher, or I want to do something related with art. And I found that this question is sort of a problem. And the problem is that this question is teaching us that the process of growing up is as one that has an ending point. Meaning that if we reach that ending point, we are already successful, right? And we usually associate these ideas with our career path. So let me share with you how that question influenced in my teenage years. When I was in high school, I was too worried about this question all the time, what I wanted to do. And I realized, at the end of graduating from high school, that I wanted to study graphic design and visual communications. So I went to school in Guatemala and I did that. But I dropped out of college after a year. That time felt terrible for me. And I felt like I already failed as a graphic designer. Let alone, I felt like I already failed as a human being. I wish that somebody had asked me before who I wanted to become in life. Now, tell me, how many of you have been asked that question? In a way? Well, that's awesome. And I wish I would know about that question before, like earlier in my life. But I started to learn about that when I was in my mission, because I learned about purpose and I learned about the potential of becoming. So to illustrate the concept of becoming a little bit deeper, I want to use an analogy. So we know that paper is useful for writing our notes. We print our most important documents in here, right? And if we stack a lot of papers and put covers at the ends, we're making a book. If we make a lot of cutouts in the paper, it can become a piece of art, right? But by me defining paper like that, I am thinking about ending points, right? Paper has reached a certain destination. But have you ever think that paper can become fertilizer or concrete? It can become technically. So if I burn paper, I don't want to burn a church, but right here, you see that paper through this chemical transformation becomes ashes. And these ashes are used to make fertilizer and concrete. I want to share a little bit about the person in the picture, and he is my dad. My dad, I asked him the question what he wanted to do in life, or what he wanted to do when he grew up, and he said that he wanted to be a doctor. I was very surprised because I never thought that he wanted to be a doctor. It really didn't think of it, but then he explained why he couldn't accomplish that, and he grew up in a poor household. They barely could afford shoes for him to go to school, so he had to use those ripped shoes for a while. That means that medical school was just out of reach for him. But he decided to do or follow a career path in teaching. And then I asked him another question, the one that I asked you before as well. Who do you want to become in life? And he answered, I want to help transform the lives of many people. I think he is already doing that, and I hope he is realizing that he's transforming so many lives, including mine. He's inspiring me a lot. And a little bit of context, I've seen my dad's journey of becoming, and I think that of the first reply that he said, he wanted to be a doctor, but he couldn't be a doctor. Then he started as a teacher, right? But eventually, what illustrates his photo is that he is graduating from being an architect. And so, he went to school to be an architect, and in 2008, when he was 40 years old, he was able to achieve this accomplishment. But unfortunately, the same year, he was unemployed. He's faced the ups and downs in life. He's been unemployed at least 3 times in life. He's faced rejection, and he's also faced financial struggles. But not everything in life has been bad for him. He's a family guy. He has love. He has health. He has this passion for discovering new things too. And he started to partnership, when he was unemployed, he started to partnership with a lot of organizations to bring awareness of education in the northern villages of Guatemala. He also began to build schools and clinics. And then he partnered with the right people at the right time. And together, they established Fundación San Mateo, or San Mateo Foundation. And San Mateo Foundation is a nonprofit organization that supports education in Guatemala. San Mateo Foundation has provided employment to a lot of people. There's been a lot of focus on career paths as well, but they have also been focusing on how they can take that to another level, right? Not only as a career path, but how kids can actually become bigger and greater in life. So overall, this work that they have done has been impacted 447,000 people in this village in the northern area of Guatemala. So when I think about my dad's journey of becoming, I'm thinking about the activity, right? He was learning, he failed, he was giving, he became, and so it's very dynamic. And I want to see it as a dynamic life. When we are living a dynamic life, we allow ourselves to self-exploration, to self-enhancement, and we contribute to our own value. You may remember that I said I wanted to be a teacher as well, but I don't have a degree on that. However, at home, I teach my husband how to do some chores for our home. At church, I teach about the gospel. And at work, I teach the community about technology and the resources that they can take advantage of. So in a way, I believe that I became a teacher. Maybe not with the degree, but I've already became it because I've lived or tried to live a dynamic life with the mindset of becoming. The philosopher Aristotle, he gave a definition of the aim of life as eudaimonia, and the best translation to that word is also correlated to flourish. And I like that word a lot, to flourish, because when I compare or think about becoming and flourishing, it's like, for me, it's like growth never stops, and becoming is like that. We never stop becoming. It's like everlasting thing in our lives. So going back to the example of the paper, you remember I told you that some of these ashes can become concrete, right? So what if we stretch the purpose of that concrete? We know that it's going to be a foundation for buildings. And if we think about fertilizer, well, fertilizer is it nourishes the soil, and it gives life. Right now, you're at the time when you're trying to figure out what do you want to do in life. But I encourage you to think about the question, who do you want to become? And as you do so, keep in mind the idea that the purpose of becoming is one that transforms you into your best self as you live a dynamic life. Thank you.